Does your morning toast make your knees ache by noon? That innocent snack you grab at 3 p.m., could it be the reason you're struggling to climb stairs? If you're over 60 and dealing with joint pain, the answer might not be in your medicine cabinet. It might be on your dinner plate. Today, we're exposing 7 common foods that are silently inflaming your joints and stealing your mobility. Plus, I'll show you the simple swaps that can have you moving freely again in as little as 2 weeks. Stay with me, because number 4 is probably sitting in your pantry right now. And subscribe to this channel if you want us to help you eat smarter, feel stronger, and live longer after 60. Now here's what most doctors won't tell you. Chronic inflammation is the root cause of joint pain, stiffness, and that morning hobble to the bathroom. And while genetics play a role, research shows that up to 70% of inflammation comes from what you eat. The good news? You have complete control over this. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which foods are attacking your joints and what to eat instead. Let's dive in. Let's start with the worst offender: trans fats and fried foods. When you bite into fried chicken, French fries, or those crispy onion rings, you're consuming oils that have been heated to extreme temperatures. This process creates trans fats and advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. These compounds trigger an inflammatory cascade in your body. They activate your immune system to attack not just the food, but your own joint tissues. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition found that people who consumed fried foods more than 4 times per week had significantly higher levels of inflammatory markers compared to those who rarely ate them. For your joints, this means more swelling, more pain, and faster cartilage breakdown. The oils used in most restaurants, soybean oil, corn oil, vegetable oil, are already high in omega-6 fatty acids, which promote inflammation when consumed in excess. Next up, processed and red meats. I'm talking about bacon, sausage, hot dogs, deli meats, and yes, even that daily steak. These meats are loaded with saturated fats and something called arachidonic acid. When you eat them, your fat tissue doesn't just store the fat. It actively releases inflammatory chemicals called cytokines. Research from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition shows that people who eat processed meats regularly have higher levels of C-reactive protein, a key inflammation marker. Red meat also contains high levels of iron in the heme form, which can generate free radicals that damage joint tissues. And here's the kicker. Most processed meats contain nitrates and nitrites as preservatives. These compounds have been linked to increased oxidative stress and inflammation throughout the body, including your joints. Moving to inflammatory food number 3, refined carbohydrates. White bread, white rice, regular pasta, crackers, pastries. These foods have been stripped of their fiber and nutrients, leaving behind pure starch that spikes your blood sugar rapidly. When blood sugar spikes, your body produces more advanced glycation end products, those AGEs I mentioned earlier. These sticky compounds attach to proteins in your cartilage and make them stiff and brittle. A study in the journal Nutrients found that diets high in refined carbs increased inflammatory markers by up to 40% in older adults. Plus, refined carbs feed the bad bacteria in your gut, and an unhealthy gut microbiome is directly linked to systemic inflammation. Every time you choose white bread over whole grain, you're choosing inflammation over healing. This is the big one: sugar and sugar-sweetened beverages. Soda, sweet tea, fruit juice, energy drinks, and even those seemingly healthy smoothies from the store. Sugar triggers the release of inflammatory messengers called cytokines. It also causes your insulin levels to spike, which promotes the storage of visceral fat. That's the dangerous fat around your organs that pumps out inflammatory chemicals 24/7. Research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that people who consumed sugar-sweetened beverages daily had significantly worse rheumatoid arthritis symptoms compared to those who avoided them. And here's what shocked me. Just 1 can of soda contains about 10 teaspoons of sugar. That's more than double the daily recommended limit for added sugars. Your joints are drowning in inflammation every time you crack open that can. Now we get to the controversial ones: gluten and casein. Gluten is the protein found in wheat, barley, and rye. Casein is the main protein in dairy products. Now, not everyone reacts to these proteins, but if you have an underlying sensitivity or autoimmune condition, they can trigger serious joint inflammation. Here's why. In sensitive individuals, gluten and casein can cause intestinal permeability, also known as leaky gut. When your gut lining becomes permeable, food particles leak into your bloodstream. Your immune system sees these as invaders and launches an attack. This creates systemic inflammation that often shows up as joint pain. A study in the journal Nutrients found that people with rheumatoid arthritis who eliminated gluten and dairy for 3 months experienced significant reductions in pain and stiffness. Even if you don't have celiac disease or a diagnosed dairy allergy, these proteins might be silently inflaming your joints. Inflammatory food number 6, MSG and food additives. Monosodium glutamate, or MSG, is a flavor enhancer found in many processed foods: canned soups, frozen dinners, fast food, and restaurant meals. MSG can trigger the release of inflammatory compounds in your body. It activates certain receptors that promote chronic low-grade inflammation. Research shows that MSG consumption is associated with increased oxidative stress and inflammatory markers. But MSG isn't alone. Artificial sweeteners like aspartame, preservatives like sodium benzoate, and artificial colors have all been linked to inflammatory responses. These chemicals are everywhere in processed foods, and they're slowly but surely inflaming your joints from the inside out. Finally, inflammatory food number 7, ultra-processed foods. This is the umbrella category that includes packaged snacks, instant noodles, frozen meals, store-bought cookies, chips, and basically anything with a long ingredient list full of words you can't pronounce. Ultra-processed foods are designed for shelf stability and profit, not your health. They're loaded with refined oils, added sugars, salt, and chemical additives. A landmark study published in the British Medical Journal found that people who got more than 20% of their calories from ultra-processed foods had significantly higher levels of inflammation. These foods also disrupt your gut microbiome, which is your body's inflammation control center. When your gut bacteria are out of balance, inflammation spreads throughout your body, including your joints. Now let's talk solutions. What should you eat instead? First, omega-3 rich fatty fish. Salmon, tuna, sardines, herring, and anchovies are packed with EPA and DHA, powerful anti-inflammatory compounds. Studies show that eating fatty fish twice a week can reduce joint pain and stiffness by up to 30%. If you don't eat fish, try plant-based omega-3s from walnuts, chia seeds, and flax seeds. Second, dark leafy greens. Kale, spinach, arugula, and Swiss chard are loaded with antioxidants and vitamin K, which protects your cartilage from inflammatory damage. Third, cruciferous vegetables, especially broccoli. Broccoli contains a compound called sulforaphane that has been shown to slow the progression of osteoarthritis. Fourth, berries. Blueberries, strawberries, and blackberries are rich in anthocyanins, powerful antioxidants that reduce inflammation. Fifth, citrus fruits. Oranges, grapefruits, and lemons provide vitamin C, which is essential for collagen production and has been shown to prevent inflammatory arthritis. And finally, beans, lentils, and chickpeas. These legumes are high in fiber and plant protein, and studies show they can lower inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein. So what do you do with all this information? Here are your action steps. First, do a pantry audit this week. Remove or reduce the 7 inflammatory foods we discussed. You don't have to go cold turkey, but aim to cut your consumption by at least 50%. Second, make one anti-inflammatory swap per meal. Replace white bread with whole grain. Swap soda for water with lemon. Choose baked salmon instead of fried chicken. Small changes add up fast. Third, plan your meals around the anti-inflammatory foods I mentioned. Build your plate with half vegetables, a quarter protein like fish or legumes, and a quarter whole grains. Fourth, track your pain levels. Keep a simple journal for 2 weeks noting what you eat and how your joints feel. You'll start to see patterns. And fifth, stay hydrated. Water helps flush inflammatory compounds from your body. Aim for 8 glasses a day. Listen, joint pain doesn't have to be your new normal after 60. The foods you eat are either fighting inflammation or feeding it. You now know the 7 worst offenders and the powerful alternatives that can help you reclaim your mobility. Remember, your body has an incredible ability to heal when you give it the right fuel. If you found this helpful, make sure you're subscribed to Senior Nutrition Guide. Drop a comment below and tell me which inflammatory food you're cutting out first. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.